Hi everyone, Made with Movie Recap here. Before I continue to review the film, it's a good thing for you to prepare a snack first, and if you're done, please directly subscribe to the channel to support me to make a video. This time I'm going to summarize a movie called In the Darkness, Down. The film tells the story of a career woman who has just finished overtime work in her office. But when she wants to go home and wants to get off, she is trapped in the elevator without any employees or guards knowing her whereabouts because it coincides with a very long weekend off. The scenes begin when a woman named Jennifer, who still works late into the night, it looks like Jennifer was the last employee left in the office, while the other employees have already returned home to prepare for Valentine's holiday, because the next 3 days are a long holiday. After her job was done, Jennifer didn't immediately go home, but she sent an email message to her ex-fiancé who was in New York. Jennifer plans to book a plane ticket and leave that night for New York to meet her ex in hopes they can still repair their broken relationship. Meanwhile, in the exact same location in the toilet, there is a man named Guy who is also an employee in the office. Simultaneously, they wait in front of an elevator on a different floor, where Jennifer went up to the 49th floor and was joined by Guy on the 42nd floor. At that time, there were no more employees who were still in the office location other than the two of them until finally the awkward atmosphere in the elevator they both felt. Guy tried to open a conversation with Jennifer, but at that time, Jennifer, who didn't seem to know the man, preferred to be silent and answer sober. Guy, who was still trying to dilute the atmosphere, then made a small talk by showing a scribbled picture on the wall, but suddenly, the elevator stopped instantly. The two of them were of course surprised. Then Jennifer tried to press the key of the button, but unfortunately, none of the famous one worked, even though the electricity in the elevator seems to still be on. Guy tried to force open the door with all his might but still didn't pay off. Jennifer waved her hand at the CCTV camera, hoping that there would still be people in the control room who saw their whereabouts, but again, no one answered their calls. They also tried to use mobile phones but are out of reach. This happens because there were 4 floors underground. A confused Jennifer asked Guy why there wasn't a single building security guard on duty that night. She was worried that she would miss the plane if she couldn't get out as quickly as possible from the elevator. 15 minutes later, Guy again tried to take the initiative to shout toward the door and occasionally bang on the door, but still, no one could hear the call. Guy regained sense where he thought there could have been an emergency door to get out of the elevator. But because the ceiling of the wall is quite high, Guy then asked Jennifer to climb on his shoulders. Then Jennifer climbed on Guy's shoulders to reach the upper side of the ceiling, but when Jennifer began groping the upper side, accidentally she hit the iron slab to make her hand hurt, and Guy was forced to lower Jennifer. After a few hours had passed, Jennifer began to be pessimistic and felt it was too late to catch her flight that night. Guy feels sorry and then tries to comfort her by jokingly hoping Jennifer can be entertained. Jennifer, who started to see the extra effort and attention given to her in the end, tried to open up and get acquainted with Guy right then and there. Jennifer, who started to get along with Guy, then ventured to choose talks about things that lead to the topic of romance. Jennifer asked Guy where was the dirtiest place he ever used to make love, but Guy, who looked embarrassed to say it, asked Jennifer to tell the story first. With a smile, Jennifer also said that she once made love in the library with one of his ex-boyfriends during college. While it's Guy's turn to tell her that he once met a girl on a beach and drank until drunk and did so with a girl in the car while driving. Until finally, Guy said that he began to get aroused and wanted to stop the discussion. He also apologized to Jennifer for crossing the line, but Jennifer, who was feeling the same thing, could be only silent when Guy walked up to her, and in the end, at the moment, they made love. Guy says that he began to fall in love with Jennifer. Jennifer, who heard the confession, immediately released Guy's statement and said that she loved her ex very much and just wanted to get back in a relationship with her ex. Jennifer says what they just did is think of it as just an appropriation. But who would have thought that the word actually hurt Guy's feeling? Guy says that Jennifer should end her relationship with the ex because Guy believes he is more worthy to Jennifer. Hearing that, Jennifer was upset with Guy because of course she really loved her ex-fiancé. Jennifer added that when they both managed to get out of the elevator, they thought like nothing had happened. A moment later, after Jennifer said it was suddenly Guy's expression that was initially humorous and attention to Jennifer instantly changed at the moment where he began to reveal who he really was. He said that he lied to Jennifer because he was not actually an employee who had a high position at the company, but was just a security guard assigned to the office. Guy then pulled out his phone and showed her CCTV footage of Jennifer moving every day even as Jennifer waited in front of the elevator when she got home from work. Jennifer was instantly shocked as if she couldn't believe the man's confession. Guy said that the incident of being stuck in the elevator was not something of coincidence, but it was something he had long planned. Guy then pulls out the key and opens the elevator door, which he accidentally blocked. At that time, Jennifer, who could no longer stand it, then said she would report it to the police so that it would make Guy rot in prison. Jennifer tried to snatch the key from Guy's grasp, and fight ensues between them. But when Jennifer grabbed the key accidentally, he broke the button channel on the elevator and made Jennifer beat Guy continuously until Guy was unconscious. It makes Jennifer scared because she thinks that Guy has been killed. At that time, Jennifer approached him and tried to check Guy's condition, but it turned out Guy didn't faint and turned to hit Jennifer until the girl was unconscious. A moment later, Jennifer woke up from her fainting and saw Guy unpacking the contents of the gift box that Jennifer prepared for her ex. The contents of the box are a shirt. Guy put on the shirt and told her to open the rest of her gift box. The contents of the second box is a cigar, complete with cigar scissors and match in it. Guy lit the cigar while making fun of the Jennifer by wishing her happy Valentine's Day. Then suddenly, Guy apologized to Jennifer for scaring her. At that time, he hoped Jennifer would reconcile with him, but Jennifer just kept quiet without answering a word. Then she saw guys who seemed to have realized his mistake and tried to get them out of it, but because the elevator door was broken, it could no longer be used. In order to reach the emergency door on the ceiling, she thinks it will be easier if Guy gives encouragement because he is not strong enough to leave it. Finally, Jennifer managed to get off it. After that, I will tell Jennifer how the position of the stairs and emergency exit data was after Jennifer found out Jennifer's exit plans pointed her middle finger to Guy and made fun of him because he had been deceived and immediately made him very angry and upset about his stupidity. He then tied two pieces of clothes into one and threw it to the sky door, and he managed to climb up. Jennifer was still trying to move towards the emergency exit. When Jennifer had managed to open the emergency door, then shouted for help hoping someone heard her scream, but suddenly when Jennifer realized first, she saw a smoke detector and lit a fire on a cigar, aimed at setting off an automatic alarm. But she tried it was not successful because the smoke produced by cigar is not too much. Time passed without feeling until on Monday, but they are still trapped and have not received help. In the evening, a security guard who is also John's coworker named Eddie coincidentally visited the office with his girlfriend, but he noticed the strangeness when Eddie didn't see John, who was supposed to work watching the office, also looked at the CCTV camera and was immediately shocked when he saw John and Jennifer lying in the elevator. No need to wait long, Eddie immediately went to the elevator, leaving his girlfriend who was asleep on the sofa. When it was outside, Eddie tried to open the door forcefully using a crowbar, while Jennifer, who was impatient to get out, then tried to put her head out the door. But suddenly, John dropped Jennifer without being seen by Eddie. Then John shouted for Eddie to help him. He don't understand what's really going on, with Eddie going upstairs and trying to help his partner, and suddenly Eddie was killed by John. Then John took Jennifer to his car and put her in the trunk afterward back in the building and dumped Eddie's body along with his clothes. Then John cleaned himself up, put on a uniform, and put a cigar in his pocket. After that, he walked into the reception room and deleted all the CCTV footage to eliminate evidence of his action. But when John came out, he saw his girlfriend Eddie had woken up. John also killed her and dumped her body in the same pit along with Eddie's body. After feeling the conditions in the office were safe without leaving a trace of John, then got into his car and took Jennifer to a remote location to dispose of it. John pulls out gasoline and flushes it into a trash can that he plans to use to burn Jennifer. Before John opened the trunk, he told her that he really loves Jennifer, but it was a pity they would never be together. When John opened the trunk, Jennifer was no longer moving, but she was pretending to be dead. Then John returned to the trash can to start the fire, but suddenly Jennifer slowly came out of the trunk and hit John's head with a jerry can that got into the car and saw a cigar that was still burning in the car. She loudly made John bounce into a garbage can that was already wet with gasoline. No need to think long again, Jennifer took the cigar and threw it into the trash can to make John burn to death alive, and the film was finished.